Guess what time it is? It's time for Good Morning, Entrepreneurs.
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 Good morning, freaking fabulous entrepreneurs. Like, I just want to wave.
Wave! Good morning and welcome, everyone. We are your hosts for Good Morning, Entrepreneurs. I am Kerry Zarb. I am coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, and
I'm Kim White. I'm coming from Texas, America. I'm so excited to be here, Carrie. This is like a highlight of our week, I think.
It is definitely, Kim. It's my pleasure to be here, and we're going to have some fun today.
We are, and we might get a little spicy. Y'all are like in for some spicy as well. We like that. So let's remind everybody, Carrie, what Good Morning Entrepreneurs is all about. So that way anybody tuning in for the first time, they know what we're up to.
What's that, Kim?
I love it, Carrie. This is how it looks, guys. Seriously. Messy is beautiful to us, and messy is what we call behind the scenes. So we just don't have trouble sharing the transparent parts of business. You know, entrepreneurship is a big deal, and sometimes it can feel really lonely. It can feel really hard, and having a community to come together with, having some place to come and listen to other people's behind the scenes messy bits, I just think it's super sexy, Carrie.
And Kim, one day, just so everyone is aware, one day we'll be together in person because we've not met in person. We've done everything so much together, so much that, lots of things together, but all virtually.
Yep. And it's amazing to me, Carrie, that, you know, we met on Clubhouse, the app Clubhouse, if you are not already familiar with it. But we've done more than 1,000 rooms together. And that is a significant milestone, Carrie.
It is. And when you say that number, Kim, I think, oh, it's time to take a nap.
I love it. Well, Carrie, let's move into entrepreneur land. This is our weekly segment where we just pick a topic and we talk about entrepreneur land and what could be impacting everybody who's listening.
And Kim, what's today's topic for Entrepreneur Land? Please tell.
It is time and money wasters in traveling for business. Oh my goodness, this comes from a trip that I took that I'm kind of laughing, Carrie, because I have to confess, I was thinking it was a really good money savings. I got a budget airline ticket. I'm going to just call it that. We are not going to name names. And then I found out some things after I had already booked the flight and I was already like committed. So, Carrie, let me just tell you, sometimes you can waste a lot of time by not spending a few more dollars, and sometimes you can waste a lot of money by not taking the time to check out what it is you're pushing the button for.
Yeah, that button can be a little bit dangerous sometimes, Kim, and we all feel it, absolutely. If we're comparing things, especially when it comes to travel, there's plenty of options out there, and sometimes it is rather tempting to press a different button. But Kim, I think you were looking for some time saving as well in your little adventure.
I was, Carrie, and it didn't work out. Like, let me just say that it didn't work out. I think sometimes you just get what you pay for. I guess that's the way to look at it. There were some, and there's been several things on the news, and I just want to say I wasn't part of that, Carrie. I wasn't part of like the uprising of it, but there were some issues because It was almost, it felt like, and I'm just going to say this, it may not have been, but it really felt like bait and switch. And I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, we have to think about how it feels to someone, even if we're not trying to bait and switch someone. Make sure that you're not, saying one thing and people are not understanding, because out of over 200 people that showed up to fly, there were, I'm going to say, well over 100 who were angry because they got to the gate and found out they couldn't have a carry-on unless they paid $100. And I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money for just to take a little bag with you.
And Kim, I don't think those bags are very big even. So that is very expensive.
So I feel like that was just a lesson for us to stay aware of. And I think that that's a good point to make this morning, is make sure whatever you're doing doesn't feel like that to someone, where they are understanding, and you have to make sure they understand all of the things. And I will be honest, I read the information and saw it ahead of time, but I think because this particular airline is doing something completely different, it ended up costing a lot of people more than it would have cost to take an airline that already had all that included. But at the end of the day, Carrie,
Well, Kim, sometimes we make these decisions and we think we're doing the right thing. I just want to put that out there as well. It's no point in beating ourselves up, but take away the learning from that experience as well, which is what we can do as entrepreneurs. Where we have mistakes happen and we have little hiccups and hurdles along the way, but we can definitely take away from those experiences. And you had one of those, Kim, that I'm glad you've shared with us today.
thank you, Carrie. And I will say that, all of us go through something. And this was a minor hiccup. I'm going to say that too, even though it was very stressful and all of the things. I'm a big baby, Carrie. That's what I'm saying.
Kim, I would be exactly the same. Travel is not my thing. So, yeah, I'd be with you. But, Kim, I think we have our first roving reporter segment that we're going to hop over to right now. So, with that, it's over to you, Jill.
Thanks, Kim and Carrie. This is Jill Olish coming to you as a roving reporter for Good Morning Entrepreneurs, with a segment for unique solutions for mama entrepreneurs. And today I wanted to talk about expectation versus reality. And I feel that sitting in my car talking to you about this now is the reality and not what I expected. So kind of perfect situation here. Pretty much, like I spoke about last week with practice, you really can't figure out what you expect from your role as a mom or an entrepreneur until you're in the middle of it and your reality sets in, and you have to figure out what you're capable of doing in what is allowed or allotted for you to get things done in, or what you are expecting out of your situation. So I learned the hard way by setting really high expectations for myself, both as a mom and as an entrepreneur. But one thing I realized is I never dreamt about it. I never planned out being an entrepreneur. I actually did not plan out being a mom at all. And I didn't have high expectations or any expectations at all until I was thrown into both. And then I learned, or I saw how other people did things, and I put their expectations as my own. And I figured out along the way, very early on, that my higher expectations for myself and for those around me that were a part of each role. So as a mom, I had really high expectations for not just by myself, but for my parents, for my husband, and for my son. And I had to make a change because it was just not where I thought I was going to be able to be with those expectations. And the same for entrepreneurship. I spent so much time right out the gate trying to figure it all out, where I created so much burnout that I needed to take a step back. And I had gotten some feedback while I was trying to put together some freebies, and I was using the phrase lower your expectations and was encouraged to use the phrase shift your expectations. Let that sink in, because I needed a minute to let that sink in myself. But it really does resonate now for me, because while I can see the reality of the situation around me, I had to consider what it was that I could in reality accomplish in the time and the season of what I was trying to do. And shifting my expectations was so much easier to do than to lower them. And sticky note time that I practiced with My Sexy Business was a huge help in figuring out how to shift my expectations. And that was by prioritizing what I needed to do and when I needed to do it. And by putting those two things together, shifting my expectations and practicing my prioritization really helped solidify that and figure out what actually was reality could be my expectation. Back to you, Kim and Carrie.
Thank you, Jill. Oh my goodness, coming to us from the car park.
I love it. In translation, for all of us on this side of the world, it was a parking lot.
Oh my goodness.
I'm the translator, just so everybody knows.
Yep.
So, Carrie, I want to ask you the question like that Jill brought up, because it's a really good topic. Have you ever had higher expectations and you needed to shift them because they didn't match what was realistic or reality?
Well, Kim, how much time have we got? Because I've probably got a million examples of that, as not only being an entrepreneur, but being an overachiever as a human. I think we can just do that second by second, moment by moment, can't we?
Oh my goodness. Yes, we can, Carrie. And, flipping back to the beginning when we talked about the travel and the budget airline and all the things, my expectations were very high on like the trip and how it was going to go and how I was going to save all this time. And I could go on and on with that as well. But the reality was that was not what I got. And I had a moment of, and just being very honest, I had a moment of just complete meltdown. Like, I'll just be honest, I completely melted down, because it's like, I don't have time for this. I had some things I needed to get back for that were very important. And it was freaking me out, for a minute. Then I realized that I had to step back and go, I couldn't do anything about it, and I met an amazing human who I'd never met before. Like, she was somebody from Texas, and she was just visiting with me, and she helped me like de-stress a lot. And I think what influence we have on other people around us for those expectations and those reality things.
Definitely, Kim, and especially when the control is taken out of our hands, like that happens frequently as well. So we've kind of got to roll with it a little bit and shift our mindset in those moments, as Jill was saying as well.
We need to get our shift together. And that was an F.
Which F, Kim? Oh, that F. Gotcha. Right. Okay.
We have to watch Carrie. Just a little side note. We have to watch Carrie and her. She is our official little bucket of swear and sunshine. But I am impressed, like, with the whole concept of shifting our expectations so that we are not stressed out.
Me too, Kim. I think it's definitely something we can all adopt and think of in the forefront of our mind. A lot of these things that we talk about on this show and in all of the community spaces that we hang out in, sometimes it can get buried in our grey matter, and we need to be careful that we're not putting those things away too much. We definitely have to keep it further in front of us and write it down and put it where you can see it if you need to.
So, Carrie, let's roll over to a quick word from our sponsors. It'll just be 1 minute, but we want you guys to know we are sponsored by us, and this is a quick word.
Once upon a time, there was a princess from Oklahoma living a traveling life in Texas.
When along comes an Aussie bucket of swearing sunshine.
When these two girls from opposite ends of the globe met in February 2021,
even the universe did not know what it was in for.
Determined to solve world problems for entrepreneurs, we still to this day learn just how similar we are.
We have found our passions were too strong not to unite and become the partners in change that we are.
What is a bucket and a boom gate?
So a bucket is basically a category or a way to change how you're looking at something big.
And a boom gate is a way to protect ourselves. Sometimes we need a boom gate to protect ourselves from ourselves.
We have lots of experience of our lifetimes of business, and we want to share that with you.
We look forward to bringing you weekly episodes of the Buckets and Boom Gates podcast. Oh my goodness, Kim. I feel like every single week that little commercial is such a good representation of the fun we have on that podcast. I don't know about you, Kim, but the little giggle in the middle of that commercial, that's true.
We have so much fun, Carrie. And you know, we know we're not everybody's flavor, but I will say that there's a lot in that podcast wrapped in fun, as you say, but it does have serious results and serious topics and serious things that all of us as entrepreneurs are like faced with.
And Kim, we need to hop over to our next roving reporter because we have standing by Donna Bender with Surprise and Delight Marketing.
Thanks, Kim and Carrie. This is Donna Bender coming to you as a roving reporter for Good Morning Entrepreneurs. Today's Surprise and Delight marketing segment is about client lists. So let me explain what that is. But first, let me ask you a question. Have you ever given a client gift that you might have felt was a little impersonal, or have you ever given a gift hoping your client would like it because you really don't know much about them? Or do you really want to find something that you could give your client to show how much you appreciate them for doing business with you? Well, I have been using my giving plan for almost 20 years now to show my clients how much I appreciate them. And to this day, the responses that I get and the phone calls I get, or the posts on social media, or the thank you notes really, really fills me up so much that it is the greatest gift I can ever receive. So what do I mean by a client checklist? Well, first of all, there are 5 important words that you need to keep in mind when selecting the gift: thoughtful, meaningful, useful, unique, and memorable. And I'm going to give you the top 5 questions that I find are important to know about my clients. Now, they could have several of these in their, that they like to do. I have a list of 23, and I'm going to give you the top 5. So, do they like to cook and entertain? Do they like the outdoors? Do they like the mountains or the beach? Are they sports fanatics? Do they like golf, tennis, pickleball, football? Do they love to garden? And do they love to travel? And these are important questions that are much different than knowing their anniversary, their birthday, if they're empty nesters. These questions have gotten to a more personal level. And once you find the answers to those, you will have no challenge finding something that's thoughtful, useful, memorable, unique, and meaningful. And the best part is you're going to stand out from your competition because your client is going to be so impressed and so touched that you got to know them on a personal level and thought of them when you gave them the gift, which will only build long-lasting relationships that will grow your business. So back to you, Kim and Carrie.
Thank you, Donna.
That was really good, Carrie. A lot to think about when you're giving a gift to a client to show them appreciation.
Definitely. And it brings so much to mind, Kim, like just from those simple questions. They are very thought provoking questions when it comes to giving gifts to clients. So I love that Donna highlighted some great ones there.
She did highlight some great ones. And I will tell you, Donna is amazing at leading you down the path of putting a plan in place so that it's not so stressful to give those gifts. She's helping us right now, and I can't wait for everybody to get their stuff. So, Carrie, I want to move over into something else quickly. And I need you to, every week you tell me you don't have a hat on, but I need you to change your hat from host to roving reporter for a minute. I would love to hear your segment on being our financial designer. And before you start, I am going to give a little bit of an introduction for Carrie, because Carrie is not only a rock star podcaster, she's on several podcasts, she's founded several podcasts, but she also is like the community that we run in. She is the financial designer that leads the way. She's the one teaching us how to not be stressed about, finances and how to get our schnizzle together. So, Carrie, you are a brilliant entrepreneur, and you've paved a trail for us to follow in the financial designing of our own businesses.
Well, I have, Kim. However, I do want to say for anyone tuning in, don't be concerned. Numbers are not everybody's thing. So therefore, a lot of us, and I was one of these people as well, by the way, back in my earlier years, it was like scary, numbers, like, oh, what does it mean? I can't work it out. So I want everyone to know first and foremost, like it's not as scary as it sounds. And that is easy for me to say sitting in my financial seat these days. However, I do want to assure you that it's not that yucky place that I guess a lot of us feel. But today, Kim, we want to talk about being lean and mean on our finances. Kerry had it kind of phrased a different way, but not allowed to say that because G-rated show, all those things. But Kim, lean and mean, like we do need to keep a close eye on our finances, because those little beans can run away and certainly exit our bank accounts. And if we're not careful and we're not watching and we're not making sure that we're keeping a tight rein on those expenses, and that's what I'm talking about when I speak about being lean and mean, is making sure that our expenses are on a tight leash, because that's up to us to control. If we're out there, spending and buying and doing all these things and buying new things that we think our business needs sometimes, because a lot of us get a little bit carried away pressing buttons, and yeah, we can run into trouble, Kim.
Well, Carrie, one of the things that you've got me like doing differently is signing up for things with subscriptions. Like, I do want to talk about that really quickly, because as an entrepreneur, we're always looking for something that helps us, make it easier or helps us make more money, just to be point blank. And if we sign up for everything, number one, we're not going to use everything. Like, we don't even have time. I don't know about everybody else, but entrepreneurs are they are juggling. They're juggling their business and they're juggling their life. And if you don't set it up in a way, that it doesn't consume you, you have to not be consumed. But sometimes that consuming, Carrie, comes from all the things that we're buying, all the things that we're trying to learn at the same time. And when you say, which Carrie has another phrase, let's just be honest. Hers is, and I'm going to say it so she doesn't get in trouble, it's being a tight bleep. That's what. So I feel like, Carrie, you can speak even more to that of how do you keep your stuff, lean and mean? How do you keep it reined in?
Well, Kim, I think it comes down to once we're aware, and again, I mentioned this before about keeping things in the forefront of our mind. And once you've kind of experience this for a little while and practice this in your mind of before you just press the button, really think about whether you need that thing that you're about to buy. And it might be something on a recurring payment. It could be something you have to pay for monthly. And just stop and think for a moment before we press the button. And do we need it? Are we going to use it? When are we going to use it? And the biggest trap, Kim, and you and I know this too well because we've fallen victim to it as well, is the free trial where you can sign up for something and have free access to all the bells and whistles for 7 days, 14 days, whatever the companies are offering. And their marketing's good, Kim. Their marketing is really good. They show you all of the fancy toys and tools that we want and looks like it solves a problem. But do we have time for it? Are we actually going to use it within that 7 or 14 days to experience the program before we start getting charged? And I've done it recently myself where I thought, oh, this looks good. Yep, I'll sign up for this. Same day, went back in and cancelled it because I went, oh, hang on a minute. What am I thinking? I'm not getting to this within 7 days. I am going to get charged. Let me go back and reverse that right now, not I'll do it tomorrow, because that's one of the other traps, Kim, is when we don't pay attention to when these things are going to happen. That's when we get caught out. And sometimes it can be months before we discover that that money has been leaving our bank account and we're out of pocket.
So I'm going to ask another question, Carrie, because I know the answer for me is a yes, but I want to ask you this question. Have you ever been so busy being an entrepreneur, running your business, doing all the things, and that you didn't pay attention? So you just said, yes, that looks good. And yes, that looks good. And yes, I'll take that. And yes, sign me up. And yes, like without really slowing down to look at what, like, do I really have time? Like you said, do I really have this, in my budget? All those things. Have you ever done that? Because I have.
Again, Kim, how many times? I can't even confess that much because it has happened in the multiples. We all fall victim to these situations. This is nothing new to any of us, and trust me when I say I understand it firsthand because I've done it in the multiples. So these days, because it's in the forefront of the mind, yes, I'm very conscious and very hyper aware before I press those buttons, but that took time. That took time to ingrain that in my mindset of, oh, let me guard my beans. I want beans for coffee, not running out of my bank account.
Good point, Carrie. Great point.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, one of the reasons that I lean into learning from you is because you're not judgy. And I think that's a really important part, is if you didn't understand that part, because I have met some people who I think they think they're perfect. And I love that you are messy with us, and you really do help tremendously. You've saved this community. Do you have a new total for us this week, Carrie?
I don't have an exact number, but I am told we did pip over $60,000.
$60,000 in less than a year savings in this community. That is a big deal.
It is.
Carrie, can I just say, as we wrap up this segment, can I say that the next sponsor is how everyone saved this money? Like, I feel like that's an important part to acknowledge, is you have to have a plan to do that. And Carrie, you created one.
Thank you, Kim.
So can we go over to a word from our sponsors? It's 1 minute long, and you will find out how so many people save that much money.
Have you ever woken in the morning, opened your bank account and found you are overdrawn? Do you feel you have too much money going out of your business to unknown places? It's time to be in the driver's seat of your finances. Using simple subscriptions is the first step. available on Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel using a simple 4-step process. Grab your bank statements, list all of your recurring payments, then start taking action to cancel the charges you don't need to be paying. Let Simple Subscriptions show you how much you can save and help you track the progress. The community has saved over $60,000 so far, and you can join the tally by grabbing your free and private copy today from kerrysarb.com/simple subs.
I love that, Carrie. I have to tell you, I love, love, love it.
Me too. So, Kim, we have another roving reporter that we need to go to very quickly, and someone very special to us. It is the amazing Adam Rothenberg.
Thanks, Kim and Kerry. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Rothenberg, and I am a roving reporter for Good Morning Entrepreneurs. And in today's Entrepreneurs in Entertainment segment, I am so excited to spotlight those people in the entertainment industry who are also entrepreneurs. And I get to kick things off by talking about one of my all-time favorite artists, the one and only Dolly Parton. Now, everybody knows Dolly from her successful music career, as well as her acting and television ventures. But what some people may not know is that Dolly is also an entrepreneur. She has several business ventures that I want to bring to your attention because I want people in the entertainment industry to know that in addition to singing, acting, directing, producing, you can own a business. One of Dolly's business ventures is her Imagination Library, where she gives a book a month to a child 0 to 5 years old. And since this program has started, she has given millions of books to children worldwide to help them learn how to read. And she started this program because her dad never knew how to read or write. She's also an entrepreneur because of her theme park, Dollywood. At the time that she started Dollywood, people thought she was crazy to open a theme park. But Dolly persevered and knew that this was the right move for her hometown in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and it has garnered hundreds of jobs for people in the area and has welcomed millions of visitors every year. Dolly also recently released her own line of doggy apparel, so you can dress your pooch in rhinestones galore. And Dolly also most recently collaborated with a very famous baking company to create her own line of cake mixes, brownie mixes, biscuit mixes, all the mixes. So what I want everybody to understand is that in addition to Dolly's very successful career in music and film and television and songwriting, Dolly has also expanded her empire through these business ventures. And one more venture that she has gone on is that of being a published author. She has written several books that all circle back to the one and only Dolly Parton. So another way that you can expand your footprint is through writing a book. It doesn't have to be a physical business that you own. You could be a published author. You could own a flower shop. You could show people how to write a resume to send to an agent. You could show people how to write a pitch letter to get an agent. There are so many ways that you can take what you know from your artistry and take it to the next level and start your very own business. So that is what I wanted to spotlight today for entrepreneurs in entertainment. And it is back to you, Kim and Kerry.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
We love our Adam.
Mm-hmm. And Kim, I learnt things about Dolly that I didn't know.
She is like one of my heroes entrepreneur-wise, Carrie. I love her music. I love what she's done, but her entrepreneur side really, really is so amazing.
Very impressive, very. And not only is she an amazing human and in the entertainment, but now to know all of these extra layers of entrepreneurship, like that's just incredible.
I think we need to get all the mixes, Carrie. I loved when Adam said that all the different mixes. We need the cake mix, the bread mix, the biscuit mix. We need it all.
I bet you it's not available in Australia, but I will find it, Kim.
I was going to say we may have to ship it over, Carrie.
Yeah. So, Kim, I think we have another roving reporter. But before we go to this one, because all of our roving reporters, let me say this out loud, are spectacular. They are just so amazing and they give so much to be part of this production. And I want to say a huge thank you to all of our roving reporters because they do an amazing job and their contributions are spectacular. But this one is extra special. They're all extra special. But this one is certainly a great asset to have on the show because we have the amazing Melissa Stetcher. We call her Izzy, and we say that a lot. So let me put that out there because Izzy is our organising queen and she is going to help entrepreneurs get organised in their business. So it's over to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Kim and Carrie. This is Melissa at Hopeful Simplicity coming to you as a roving reporter for Good Morning Entrepreneurs. Today, I want to talk to you about sorting your office. And I want to talk about the two mindsets you want to keep in mind as you create a sorted system for your organizing success. Now, remember, when we say sort, that's the second S to our 3S method. And it's simply creating organized systems that you and your team can maintain. So let's dive right into those two sorting things I want you to keep in mind. It's zones and real estate. Now, don't put on your construction hat. I don't mean outside work zones when I say zones, but I mean in your office space zones. Do you have a specific space that you should create a work zone for recording? Maybe you keep your laptop there, any recording notes, your microphone, anything that you need to record something, audio or visual, whatever that may be, maybe you need a recording work zone. I know I get very creative when I need to create social media things or be writing or, working on my publishing stuff. I need a work zone to be creative. That's when the big screens come up on the computer and my Post-its with the notes and stuff I've taken over the last few weeks come in. I've got my favorite pen. I might have some music going, and then I've got my laptop ready. And that's my creative create zone. Maybe you have a zone for just like files, head down, client, things like that. So maybe you have your laptop or your computer set up, but you've got your notebooks and files that relate to a certain client. That could be your client work zone. So as you're going through your spaces, I want you to think of it as a block of time. If I'm going to work from 8 to noon on this, what do I need? How do I put all that together? And does that create a work zone for that type of work for my business? The next part of it is real estate. Now, I'm not meaning like, let's go out and buy a house or sell an apartment or anything like that, but I mean the real estate in your actual office space. As you're working in a space, say you're working on your creative, right? Like for me, I have to have my favorite pen and my Post-its and my 2 big screens and my laptop ready. Those are the things I need in my prime real estate. As I'm working, I want it within hand's reach. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to look for it, anything like that. I need it right there and ready to go. That's my prime real estate zone. So if you're working at your desktop, maybe you have shelves. That first shelf that you can reach while you're sitting there is prime real estate. The rest of it, the shelves, the closet, and the other thing, that's going to be your backstock or your refill real estate. So what do you really, really need versus what can you fill from? I want you to think of it as bulk pens. If I am working at my desk, I have my favorite pen. I don't have 30. I don't have the whole box right there because then now your clutter has moved into your productive space. That's not what we want. That's not hopeful. We just want our favorite one. The rest of it, the other box of 28, 29, that can go into the back stock. So it's like a second space for real estate. So that's what I want you to think of. in your work zone, what do I need? Right? What is the prime real estate, or what can go somewhere else until I need it, or until I need to get to it to refill something? That's it for today. Until next time, stay hopeful, everybody. And it's back to you, Kim and Carrie.
Thank you, Izzy.
My goodness, she's always got the most amazing tips to get us organized and to keep us that way, Carrie.
Yeah, well, just don't let her see over here at the moment, Kim, because I think I would be in a little bit of trouble. There might be a little bit too much of that backstock being in the forward space here. Yes.
So her tip on the pins, I just have to comment on, Carrie. I think I am guilty, and she probably was talking straight to me because I tend to have pins laying around. And when I learned to not have them and only have my favorite one ready, that honestly was like kind of a clutter game changer because I now don't have them everywhere. And I think that that's important when we are doing all the things, is our environment matters. Like, we're more creative and more productive when we are not in a cluttered pile. But I will be honest, I was born a clutter bug. Let's just go there. Let's just say that.
And I think a lot of us were, Kim. Like, that is just kind of our normal. You know, like, I've only got one pen on my desk right now. I could have a couple of cups full of highlighters and other pens and all things ready to grab that I hardly grab. So, Izzy, thank you for sharing those brilliant tips with us because, well, it's Friday night here, Saturday morning very shortly, and I will clean up before I start for the weekend. How's that?
Good job, Gary.
I know. So, Kim, we do need to hop over to another quick word from our sponsors. A 1-minute commercial. We will be right back.
This show is sponsored by
Groundwork Brigade Mastermind. Are you an entrepreneur who is focused on making an impact,
but you haven't figured out how to make an income doing it?
We spent years trying to figure out how to do both.
And we realized the business adventure is not a one-size-fits-all. I'm Kim White. I'm the founder and fierce leader of the My Sexy Business team.
And I'm Kerry Zarb, Aussie bucket of swearing sunshine.
And she's a brilliant entrepreneur, by the way.
We both understand how it feels to believe we are the only ones who can't figure things out.
So we decided to join forces so we could get in the trenches with you.
We lead a very special mastermind group so you can be confident in strategically implementing
the right things in the right order so that you too can get the best possible results.
We cover a variety of topics based on what you need,
including building a business that you own and doesn't own you.
We even address themes like social media strategy and simple tech solutions.
If you would like to meet other entrepreneurs who are living proof of what is possible,
come and join us, and the link is below.
Yay!
So, Kim, we have another segment that we need to hop into because we've kind of flipped things up today, guys. Not sure if anyone's kind of noticed, but we have kind of flipped things around a little bit. And we have another segment called Princess Speak, which is your segment, Kim. And Kim, I want you to tell us what today's word is. I'm excited.
So, I'm extra, Carrie. Let's just go there. So the word is actually a phrase this week, but it's a really important one that we use a lot. And I think when we're talking about Princess Speak, we all have a language that we speak. And this is my silly kindergarten princess kind of speak, is I need it simple so I understand it. So this phrase of the week, this word of the week that has multiple words, is elbowing to the front or elbows to the front. Exactly. You're like fighting your way to get to the front. You're being very competitive and like you're just being very focused is one way to look at it, but you're also not looking around you to see collaboratively what can benefit everybody around you. You're just focused on your own self. And I don't think elbows to the front is the right way to do business. And I don't think it's the right way to live life. I do know we have to make hard decisions. I do know we have to make sure we're aligned with the right people. Like, those things are really important. But when you find someone who is like, as a pattern, not just one time where they may be immature in doing it, but as a pattern, they're elbowing their way to the front and stepping on whoever they need to get to the top, the front of the line. I just think that that is something we need to pay attention to other people around us and disassociate from those that have that kind of an attitude.
And Kim, this one's quite interesting that it's come up today, considering a few of our other conversations in today's show. And I think it kind of goes without saying that a lot of us might actually experience this around us in day-to-day life. It can happen and we can witness it. We can actually see this happening. Or like you said, Kim, we could see these characteristics in people that we are spending time with. Then it might be a little bit of a red flag sometimes.
Well, I think, Carrie, you call it your tummy, but when your tummy tells you about somebody and you see them doing that kind of behavior, I think it's important to look at that and step back and see why. Because honestly, I believe it's an immaturity. It's a lack of understanding. Because you can get to the front of the line and find out that you've ruined all of your relationships. You've ruined all the things, that you could have had as a successful human. And let me just say that, because I think if you get to be a successful business owner and you're not a successful human, you're not being good to other people, that's not really successful in my definition.
And Kim, what would be a little piece of advice for someone tuning in to this show and this conversation that might realise that they have their own elbows to the front tendencies, maybe just a little bit? And if they're recognising it, that's a good thing if you can recognise in yourself, because we all have flaws. We're not perfect. We're all human. And Kim, I've said this before, if everyone was the same on the planet, it would be boring. So... But I think it's a good opportunity for those that are actually, witnessing themselves and what's happening with themselves to take a little bit of action. Would you give them a little bit of advice on a shift of course there, Kim?
So I think one of the things that I watch for and I try really hard to check my own self with, Carrie, is the things that I'm saying or the things that I'm doing that are putting someone else down. Like, elbows to the front means also that you have to be pushing somebody with those elbows. So if I am pushing somebody around so I get what I want, that's elbows to the front. If I am saying things to somebody like, ugly things, I will say, and it's a competitive thing, I just don't think we have to be competitive in the same way that maybe we've been taught. So I think that that's part of the elbows to the front is, where are we, like, checking ourselves? What kind of thing do you have in place to check yourself as a human to make sure that you're not being ugly to other people and you are staying kind and true to being a good human? Because at the end of the day, you can get to the successful business, block. You can be on the top of the block, Carrie, without being ugly to other people.
100%, Kim. And I think we've all got those opportunities to, take advantage of those situations and certainly dig within, find our inner human, because I believe everyone is a nice person. I like to believe that everyone has good in them. So, yeah, take advantage and bring that forth.
So, Carrie, I'm going to give a little spicy question and a little spicy something that goes to that's involved with this. And I do want to give like a very short warning to our associate producers who will be coming up shortly. I just got a big O eye roll from them. We can see them in the green room, by the way. But I think that being in business and being an entrepreneur comes with being a leader. I don't think followers are business owners or followers are entrepreneurial in the same way. So I think being a leader is a really important part. And elbows to the front, to me, shows that you're not a good leader. If you are doing things that it just is proof that you need to work on your leadership skills. So I would love to bring up our associate producers to give them thanks first off for like producing the show and to do the things that Carrie, you and I get to show up and have a great time, but they do a lot of work behind the scenes to make this happen. But I'd like to ask them what it means to them about being a leader in business, because they're younger, they're not as far along on their business journeys. So I would love to ask them, and I guess I'm going to have to push the button to bring them up because there we go.
Oh, here comes Adam.
Adam's bringing his elbows. So, Adam, what would you say a good leader in business looks like? Like, what would you describe a good leader as?
A good leader in business would look like Kim White.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I did not pay for him to say that either. Let me just say that. You are very sweet, Adam.
No, I think it's somebody. I think it's somebody who encourages their employees as they go along in the business journey. It's somebody who understands that not everything's going to be perfect, that mistakes are going to be made, or they may need some time to get adjusted to doing something. And not everybody's going to know everything in the snap of a finger. So I think somebody who has that patience and provides positive feedback and not just, oh, you're doing that wrong. It's more constructive feedback of how you can do it better, tips that you can take to improve. And I think also a good leader is somebody who also encourages them along the way and provides them with that support of, you're doing a great job, or I'm glad you're on the team, or thanks for being here, something along those lines. Because I know, like, when I was in the corporate world, I certainly did not hear that very often. And I feel like everybody works so hard every day that they need to be reminded of that they are making a contribution to wherever they are that's working. So I think that is what makes a good leader.
Thank you, Adam. And I will say you work very hard to make all of this happen, and we're grateful for you. I will say that. Jill O.
What he said?
I know.
Well, first he took my first answer, and then second, he just kept going with all the good answers. This is why we chat in the background.
You have to divide up the answers, right?
Well, I also believe that a leader is someone who is living proof, and it's one of our favorite words right now, that they're living by example. So a leader is someone who's still learning to lead and empowering others to lead alongside them. I know myself, I am learning, and it is a hard job. So I commend anyone who is wanting to be a leader or who is showing those skills to their teams, because it's a hard job. And yes, you can do it, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. And if you're recognizing that responsibility, that alone can make you a leader.
That definitely is a place to start, Jill, because when we're talking about living proof and we're talking about elbows to the front, I think it all ties together because of, if you see someone who is elbows to the front, they're not a great leader yet. They still can become a great leader, but they're not yet. So I think it's important, very important. Carrie, do you have something to add to that about just the whole concept of a leader in business and all that we're talking about?
Well, I feel like our show producers have done such an amazing job. I thought I'd get out of the question, to be honest, but no such pass is
No.
given. Well, the only thing I'll add is it is really important when you think about being a leader. From my experience, is if you're asking people to do something, it's not something you're not prepared to do yourself. So therefore, be that leading example for others and guide and assist and continue to guide and assist. It's not just a one shot deal where you perhaps delegate a task to someone and it's completely off your plate. Yes, we do delegate for the reason so that we are distributing the load and it's not all on us. But at the same time, we're working side by side with people. I'm not a really big lover of organization charts that have the hierarchy. I'm more of a holacracy, I think is the word for it, and thinking of everyone working side by side. Is that the word for it, or did I completely muck it up?
I'm giggling because that was a bigger word, Carrie. You're usually the one telling us that was a big word. That was a bigger word.
I didn't even have to Google that one, so that's a first. But that's what I truly believe in is working side by side with other people, whether you're a leader or one of the team. It is about everyone being on the same page.
Well, I will jump in and say, Carrie, one of the things about our team is I don't look for people who are followers. Like sometimes that gives me a little bit of a problem because they get a little, they get a little rogue sometimes, we'll call it. But I do think that having leaders on your team versus just someone to follow and do, speak when they're spoken to and all that nonsense. I think that that's not being a good leader. Our team gets spicy. Our team brainstorms together. There's not the judgment parts. I think all of that goes into having an amazing team. And I do think it comes from joining forces with other leaders and not just finding people who they just want to show up and get a paycheck. Like I think that there's such a drastic difference. So I think living proof of that is I am so proud of our team and I am so proud of Adam and Jill for doing what they do to make this show happen. This was a dream of yours and mine, Carrie, and they've brought it to life. And that makes me super, yes, I think everybody should clap for Adam and Jill. I think that this is such a sexy, it's just a sexy thing. And all the roving reporters, like you said earlier, they're spectacular. We are so proud. And so if anyone is watching and you see some messy, we decided not to even do, we didn't blur the background. We didn't, make it look like we're somewhere else. We just want you to know this is where we are. This is where we do business. This is how we live our lives. And it's really important to us. So I think that's all I've got to say about that for right now, Carrie. Should we go to final thoughts quickly?
Yeah, we're going to have to do it quick. We're on the express train. Yes.
Woo!
Adam?
So my final thoughts are this was another great show, and thank you everybody who was watching for tuning in. We love seeing you and all your comments in the chats. So please keep engaging because it's so thrilling to see your excitement and enthusiasm.
Thank you, Adam. Jill?
We love bringing this show every Friday. I'm so happy we're in this place in the season of our business and entrepreneurship journeys all together, and that we're all growing and stretching and gaining our leadership muscles. So glad we're on this journey together, guys.
Thank you, Jill. Go, Princess.
So we'll see everybody next Friday, 7 a.m. Central for the next edition of GME.
And this is the team signing off for Good Morning Entrepreneurs.